It was the kind of crisp November afternoon that made people hurry from store to store, cradling warm coffee cups and clutching shopping bags. Ethan Rivers stood outside the mall, waiting for the valet to bring his car around, his mind lost in the endless emails and deadlines waiting at home. That's when he saw her. She was sitting on the curb, just beyond the fountain, bundled in a fraying hoodie with the hood pulled low over her face. She was holding a cardboard sign that read, "Hungry. Anything helps. God bless." Ethan nearly didn't look twice, until she lifted her head, and his heart stopped cold. It was Lila. Lila, who had vanished from his life 6 years ago without so much as a goodbye. Lila, whose laughter had once filled his tiny apartment, who had taught him how to believe in love again after his parents' ugly divorce. Lila, who had left him on a rainy April night and never came back. And now here she was, a beggar on a street corner. For a moment, all he could feel was the ache in his chest, the echo of all those sleepless nights he'd spent wondering what he'd done wrong. But something deeper, something more human, overcame him. He couldn't just walk away. Ethan approached slowly, as if she might vanish again if he moved too fast. "Lila?" he asked softly. She froze. And then her wide, green eyes met his. The same eyes he'd once memorized. Her lips trembled into a whisper. "Ethan." For what felt like forever, they just stared at each other. Then she quickly looked away, shame written all over her face. "I'm sorry," she muttered. I didn't know you'd see me like this." Ethan crouched down so they were eye level. "What happened?" Tears welled in her eyes, and in a broken voice, she told him everything. How her mom had fallen sick and passed away, how debt had swallowed her whole, how she'd run from him because she couldn't bear to drag him down with her. How she'd lived in shelters, taken odd jobs, and finally ended up here. "I thought if I left without saying goodbye," she said, "you'd forget me quicker. You'd find someone better." Ethan's throat tightened. "You were never a burden," he said gently. "Not then. Not now." He helped her to her feet. She tried to protest, insisting she couldn't take his help, but he wouldn't hear it. He took her to dinner, just like old times. Ordered her favorite dish, still remembering what it was. Gave her his jacket when she shivered. And for the first time in a long time, she smiled a little. But Ethan didn't stop there. He called a friend who ran a transitional housing program, secured her a clean, safe place to stay. He paid for her first month's rent and lined up an interview at his office for her the next morning. When she asked why he was doing all this, he simply said, "Because everyone deserves someone who believes in them, even when they stop believing in themselves." That night, as he drove home alone, Ethan couldn't help but feel lighter somehow. Like something that had been broken inside him for years had finally started to heal. Weeks later, he passed the same corner outside the mall. But Lila wasn't there anymore. Instead, he found her one morning at his office, hair brushed and wearing a neat blazer, coffee in one hand and a notebook in the other. Her eyes sparkled as she handed him a paper with her first paycheck clipped to it. On it, she'd written, "Thank you for seeing me when I was invisible." Somewhere deep inside us all, there's a part that wants to believe no one is beyond saving. That kindness, even when it feels small, can change a life. And sometimes, it brings back the very love we thought we'd lost forever. Because everyone deserves a second chance, and someone to believe in them.